Once again, thank you for joining us today for our MicroAge Talks Technology webinar. As most of you know, today's webinar focuses on cybersecurity awareness and education. We run these once or twice a year because we feel strongly that knowledge is power. And when it comes to cybersecurity, the more you know, the more you can reduce the risks of cyber attacks. Plus, we get to have a little bit of fun a little bit later with our Phish and Legit game. Cross our fingers. We did this earlier today in French, and we did have some issues towards the end. So we're crossing our fingers that our webinar tool will work. Bear with us, and hopefully we won't even have to worry about it. So. My name is Maria Fiore. I'm the Director of Operations here at at MicroAge, not at Microsoft. And I'm joined by Sergio Lima, Director of Customer Success, and our presenter today.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, welcome, Sergio. Before we begin, a few housekeeping notes. As I'm sure you've all noticed, all attendees are muted, mainly to reduce background noise. We do have quite a few people on board, so trying to make sure there's not too much background noise. We encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation by using the questions panel of the webinar tool, which is normally found on the right-hand side of the tool. Also, we are recording the webinar. The recording will be sent a little bit later today for your review or to share with people you think would benefit from listening in. In the same email, you will also receive the link to download the ebook that we are making available to you today. One last thing that I forgot to put on the slide is that we are also making some phishing cheat sheets available to everyone on the call. You can find the cheat sheets in the handout section of the webinar tool, and you can go ahead and download those immediately if you want. So just before I hand things over to Sergio, I'll just take a moment to give you a brief overview of MicroAge. So MicroAge has 39 locations across Canada, making us one of the largest networks of IT experts in the country. We've been providing IT services and solutions to our clients for over 40 years. Our approach is based on understanding your business, your objectives for your business, your challenges, as well as your opportunities, so that we can recommend and provide the services and solutions that are right for you. The IT services and solutions that help you achieve the results that you want to achieve for your business. And that's it in a nutshell. That's how we work and what we do. So with that, I'll pass it on to one of the people that works with clients to figure all this stuff out. Sergio, over to you.
Thank you very much, Maria. Hello, everyone. Welcome. And I guess we can start this by saying, I guess we don't do this often enough. Repetition is the key message here. The more you repeat, apparently 7 times is the number, the golden number to repeat something for it to go into our brains. So,
Sergio, in marketing, it's actually 12. They say you
need
to repeat things 12 times. So I don't know. Anywhere between 7 and 12, I guess, would be the right number.
Yeah, exactly. So, hopefully, this will educate you. Hopefully, by repeating, it'll sensitize you or make you aware of certain types of phishing attacks. Maybe you may be receiving, in the future, some emails that look a little fishy. Pardon the pun. But maybe this info session can help you with that. So let's go through the agenda quickly. We'll look at the statistics, how a cyber attack typically goes through, the types of phishing threats, and what we call the human firewall, which obviously you may or may not know, the humans are the weakest link. So we need to work on ourselves to try and be able to help all of the IT security solutions that are already in place within your network. But it is important that your employees understand how to catch phishing email and how to prevent that from coming in and hopefully help them not click on some of the links. So let's go. Let's start with some statistics. By the way, these are all Canadian statistics, so they're not, American, global, etc. It's from sources that did research based on Canadian organizations. So if you look at the top left-hand side, 85.7% of Canadian organizations have experienced some form of a cyber attack in 2021. You may or may not know it, but that's the real statistic. So obviously, if you're aware of it, maybe something happened for you to see it, and maybe you may be one of the organizations that think that you were not attacked, but maybe you were. So it's very difficult to that number right. And then 61.2% of the Canadian organizations were impacted by some form of ransomware in 2021, which caused a cybersecurity incident, which probably impacted them at different levels, whether it's systems being down or employees not being able to work. But it did affect them in some shape, way, or form. The average cost of remediation for ransomware attacks now in Canada is $1.92 million. That's a lot of money. Obviously, there's a lot of factors that are taken into consideration. Your reputation, the cost of doing business, the revenue that you may be missing if your systems are down, the loss of productivity from your employees, etc. So I guess depending on your business, obviously that cost of remediation is not 1.9 million for all of you, but it is an average cost right now. 1 in 5 companies have suffered some form of a malicious data breach in 2021, which means actually came from some sort of a lost or stolen credentials. So again, it may not be from a weakness that is in your network, but it could be a hacker gaining access to certain websites and other companies, and I guess exporting and collecting that information, which in turn helps them get into your network. So a lot of it has to do with stolen data, stolen credentials. And finally, 17% of companies were breached with a direct phishing attack, and I'll explain the different types of attacks. And this year, and the upcoming year, is now to 65%. So instead of 61.2, we're going to be at 65% of organizations that should expect to be hit. So that's a lot. That's 2/3, to be precise. So let's look at a tournament that a reputable phishing/training company, security firm is performing on a yearly basis. They call this the Gone Phishing Tournament, and they invite anyone to join and join this tournament where they will eventually be phished in some shape, way, or form with some form of an email at any given moment within a set period of time. I think it's runs through about 30 days or so in the month of October. Mm-hmm. And what they do is they try and phish you and see how many people click on some of those links. Well, 19.8%, so I guess almost 20%, 1 in 5 employees. So if you have 20 employees, 4 of your employees would have clicked on that link that led to some form of a landing page, website, possible script that's being loaded behind the scenes, your machine where you can't see it. And of those 20% of people that clicked on those things, they actually went as far as downloading malware, going to the website, entering their credentials. So that's high. It's really high. So I mean, all that to prove the point that you could be, if you're not vigilant, if you're not trained properly, then that's why that percentage is so high, right? And the goal of this webinar and in general to train and educate your employees is really to try and lower this. But so far they've been doing this for several years, and it's just been trending higher and higher on a yearly basis, which I guess is not good.
So yeah, here's Sergio, sorry, we should say, we do this webinar to educate, right, and to give you examples of what some of the phishing emails and all of that. It does not replace a true education and training platform, right?
Correct.
So we don't want to give anybody any false expectations that suddenly you watch this webinar and you're all trained up and you're all good to go. Right. The world changes, cybersecurity world changes, and it changes almost daily. Yeah. So these platforms are always adjusting to make sure that they have the latest and greatest templates. Repetition is another. We do this maybe once, twice a year, let's say. Yep. We've been doing this on a regular basis, but it's probably, I mean, it may be enough, but it's probably not. So you want to make sure that you're doing this on a regular basis. So just an FYI, this does not replace a true education. Yep.
Correct.
Platform.
Yeah, and I mean, you're going to be seeing several examples in the questions that we'll ask you and in some of the sample email templates. But again, the actual full-fledged training and phishing campaigns are hundreds of questions. that we can choose from. Obviously, we're not going to flood your employees with hundreds of questions, but we can choose different ones, and we have a lot of templates that can be set up, and your users could be tested with them, right?
And they can be
Um,
customized a little bit,
and
right?
they
So
can be
depending on
customized.
your
Yep,
organization, right? So
exactly. You know, we're mimicking what a cyber attacker would do, right? It falls into this phishing cycle, right? Into this typical attack cycle where they're going to try and choose their victim. And if you think you're not one of the victims, think again. They're not really in any, they're not particularly looking for a specific type of industry or a specific type of business based on your revenue. You know, they're full out scanning IP addresses and coming back with some potential info of things that they can maybe exploit. So,
yeah,
you know, you're
the other
small,
thing,
you're medium, you're large,
yeah.
you could be hit.
Yeah. Sorry, Sergio, to keep interrupting. But the other thing to keep in mind is, even though you feel like you have, data, who wants your data? Like you don't have, it's not that important or whatever. But you may you may be a supplier to a bigger entity,
Yes,
and then you may be supplying widgets to somebody that
good
uses
point.
it for other things. And so these guys are smart. They're going to go for the lowest hanging fruit. How can they quickly and easily get in? As Sergio has mentioned before, they're a bit
Exactly.
lazy.
Yeah,
So
they're
they're
lazy.
gonna they're gonna try to find the hole, right? and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and they, you may not think that you have anything important, but you may. So
That's right. So, you know, what they do is they just search the web, scan some tools, and see what goes on. And obviously, they'll end up choosing a victim. They'll gather some information to try and create their lure on either social media, web searches, any kind of identifiable information that's picked up already on the dark web that may already be there. And then it goes into like what they call the hook, right? So the criminal creates an email that's appealing to the victim using some form of methodology, some form of creating of comfort or maybe fear, a sense of urgency in that email, so that they can click. Um, then the email is sent obviously to the victim, probably bypassing traditional email security. Don't forget, they're not sending one, they're sending thousands, and eventually a few of them might go through, and that's what they're counting on, right? So the minute that person receives that email and nothing stands out, they'll be clicking on a few things, and obviously once that attachment or link is clicked, some form of malware is maybe dropped off, some kind of script is maybe there. They may be redirecting you to a landing page that looks like a familiar landing page, but in fact, it's an actual landing page that belongs to their site. And then just continue to collect information, right? Phony websites, they collect your info, and then it's game over. Obviously, they'll just pick up that info and decide to do something with it, not necessarily hacking into your network, but they may decide to publish it on dark web. They may decide to sell it to someone, or they may just decide to go into your network and continue doing something, right? Some form of encryption, or maybe just extracting some data so that they can sell it afterwards. So different types of phishing attacks. If you're not aware of them, there's the angler phishing, which I'm sorry, all my screens just popped up for no reason. Okay, there you go. The angler phishing, which is more of a social media type of thing where they're targeting specific people using Messenger, LinkedIn messages, stuff like that. So again, something to look carefully at. You may be getting some weird messages with Messenger, with Facebook, with LinkedIn, people that you don't necessarily know. They're not part of your, part of your network, etc. Just be careful for that's what they call the angler phishing, where they're trying to get you to click and reply, and then hopefully move to the next step. There's brand impersonation, which is usually spoofing to craft some sort of email to trick you, right? That they looks like a legitimate email from a legitimate vendor, a business partner, a government entity, service providers, retailers, you name it. And it's something, from a company that you know and trust, and it ends up being something that was actually built by a cyber criminal. Then there's the business email compromise, which is sort of like a phishing attack of fake emails asking for payments, right? So false pretenses, try and get businesses to transfer funds, an invoice that is unpaid. If they collect enough info, they tend to know the types of businesses you're dealing with, types of banks you're dealing with, and then they start to customize the emails based on that. You have the typical malware and ransomware, which is, pretty much emails that contain some sort of malicious software, some malware. The minute you click on a few things, it'll infect the computer. You may be aware of it. It may be running in the background, and then it starts a whole chain of events, encrypting the systems, encrypting the data, inaccessible, and obviously then it comes with the famous encryption keys required, the message that pops up that says you need to pay someone to get this decrypted, and then it goes into the not sure if you're going to get your data back even after you've paid them. So that falls into that category. And then spear phishing is, to give you an example, let's say they go out at large at your business and they catch a couple of people replying to a specific email, then they have identified these people as their target, and they will continue to phish only those people with other emails until they get what they want. So that's a bit more of a targeted type of phishing. So their general phishing goes out at large to try and pick up anything they can, I guess, with a large net. And the spear phishing is really, I found the fish I want, I'm going to go after them. And a lot of times what happens with the spear phishing is, let's say they've identified someone in accounting, or someone who writes the checks, and so well, then they'll go into the whaling. So the CEO fraud and whaling might be, pretending to be the boss or the director that is out of town and needs money transferred over, or you need to buy some gift cards, etc. That's the whaling or CEO fraud. And finally, something that started a long time ago that kind of went away because they were focusing on the other types of phishing, but now is coming back, is the vishing and smishing. So it's another form of phishing, but smishing means SMS texting. So it's texts that you will be receiving on your phone, fraudulent text, obviously. And the vishing has, again, come back for some reason when it's you receive actual calls from people pretending to be from government agencies, or your IT support guy who's trying to get to change your password and such and such. That seems to be back for some reason. There you go. So what do we do? How do we fix that? I'm gonna move this over. I think you may see the other screen. There you go. So what we do is, Maria was saying we have specific mandates that work on awareness. They'll educate your employees and train them, obviously, online portal at their own pace. You can follow their progress. And while they're doing that, we're actually phishing them to test to see if they've learned from their training and if they're using, what they've learned into practice, if they're actually remembering what they've been taught. And all of that goes through with some form of reporting and monitoring and ensuring that everybody is following through. I'd like to mention that if to put something like this in place, it needs to be top-down type of initiative. So it's incredibly important to have management, directors, presidents. They need to be on board with this so they can, I guess, propagate the right message across all their employees. If you don't motivate your employees to follow through on training, it's kind of hard for them to go through it and to protect your business. But the goal of all of this is to create that human firewall, that aspect that cannot be protected using typical IT security solutions. So that being said, we will begin.
We should mention too, Sergio, that the executives or the owners of your businesses or whatever are starting to get motivated because insurance companies are now saying they won't insure you, or for cyber anyway,
Correct.
unless you do have some kind of
That's right.
cyber awareness training program in place, right?
That's
So
right.
yeah, it's becoming that there's motivations, and first of all, you should be motivated anyway, because
Yeah.
you don't want to get you don't want to get breached or have an incident, but now the insurance companies are getting into the fray, as we say.
Yep. The risk.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's look at a few questions and phishing emails. I'm ready
This is
when
the
you
fun
are. You
part.
want to start?
This is the fun part. Yeah,
Yes, it
let's do it.
is.
So we're gonna put up the first, well, yeah, we're gonna put up the first question
Yep.
and have you respond. So let me launch this and cross our fingers, it worked.
Yep. So far, so
So
good.
Yeah, question 1. Which of the following practices will reduce the risk of malware infection? And there's several answers. So you can use an antivirus program to scan files stored on USB. You don't download or open unsolicited or unexpected attachments. Number 3 is use antivirus software to scan files from the internet. And number 4 is don't click on links or buttons in unexpected suspicious emails. So we've got a lot of people voting, but the votes are still coming in. We're going to give you a few minutes, and then we're going to show the results. So you have to choose which ones do you think apply. We've almost got everybody. Getting close. All right. Well, a couple more. Okay, I think we're going to shut it down and share the results. So let's see. So here we go. So we have 81% who said, scanning for files on USB is a good idea with an antivirus. 97% said don't download or open unsolicited or unexpected attachments. Very good. Use antivirus software to scan files from the internet, 91%, and 100% don't click on links or buttons in unexpected or suspicious emails. I think that was an easy one.
Yeah.
All right, so let's hide that and show the answers. Yeah,
It's
they
all of the
all
above.
apply. Yeah.
Yeah. So, obviously they're, we'll try and put whatever you can in terms of security solutions in place. So anti-spam, antivirus, or EDR as they call it, and the next gen antivirus software in place. So those are options one and three are more security based solutions, whereas answers 2 and 4 are more awareness based, right? Again, obviously don't click on certain specific attachments and stuff that you deem are suspicious. Don't click on links and buttons if you're not expecting it. If something looks a little quote unquote fishy, then please don't click on it. Use another way of connecting to that, that link. Use the traditional way. Let's say open up a browser and go to that website and just to double check. Question number 2.
Question 2. Let's launch the poll here. So question 2 is create a long and complex password and use that password for all your online accounts. Social, email, banking, online shopping, true or false? Oh, now I got, I have to start making these things a little harder, Sergio.
Yeah. Well, we got a few hard ones coming up.
Yeah, we've got a couple.
Tricky ones.
Yeah. There we go. I think we've got pretty much everybody who's voted. So let me close that down and share the results. So we've got 21% who say it's true and 79% who say it's false. And the real answer is?
The real answer is false. So, the long and complex passwords is the right way to go. The online accounts, social, email, banking, what I recommend is use your business credentials for your business and applications and I guess, SaaS applications and stuff and connectivity with regards to your business. Separate that from anything you consider personal. And I say that because the statistics still say, and with my conversations that I have with a lot of people, is that a lot of people use their business email for different types of accounts, including personal things like your education portal for your kids, while you're using your business email and some form of a password. And the likelihood you're using a variant of the same password across all your platforms is about 75%. So unfortunately, hackers take advantage of that, and they have tools to specifically go through and hack. And once they know one variant, they can kind of work on different variances. And what it does is it gives them ammunition and information for them to, you can't know if that outside website or partner is as protected as they should be. So if they get hit by a hacker and all of that information is exported out and sold on the dark web, well, your information could be there. And then once that's sold to a hacker, they can use that information to log into your business, because obviously there's a variant of the same password, and that's what they're going to start with. So that's the message, the underlying message behind this question.
Excellent. Question 3. All right, let's launch the poll here. So question 3, what practices should be followed when selecting a new password? And here again, there might be more than one right answer. So first answer is use a password that contains at least 8 characters. Second is use a mix of letters, numbers, and special characters. Third, password composed of first letter of a word in a sentence. And then the last is password made up of successive key sequences. So we're going to give it a moment. Let's see which of these are good. This one was taking a little longer, but we're almost at almost everyone's voted. All right. Give it another second. All right, let's shut that down, and we're going to share the results. So you got 83% who say that the password should contain at least 8 characters. 100% say use a mix of letters, numbers, and special characters. 11 say password composed of first letter of a word in a sentence, of the words in a sentence, I should say. And then 11% say password made up of successive key sequences. And I'm going to hide that. Oh no, we're having the same issues as this morning.
Really?
I closed it. Oh, this is yeah. So I'm
So
gonna
let's see
try
if
it.
I can unshare it and bring it back, and maybe we can send me the, I'll stop sharing. There you go. Send it
Oh,
back to me. And while we're doing that, I'm going to give you the answers. So the first answer was use a password that contains at least 8 characters. 80% of you clicked on that. So 2 years ago, that would have been the right answer. But right now, what's happening is that 8 characters is no longer good enough. There are tools out there that will hack. And give me a second, I'm just going to share my screen again as Maria sent me the request. Let me know if that works.
oh yes, yes.
We're
Sorry
good?
about that, guys. We're having some technical issues with our webinar tool today, but yes,
That
Sergio, it
good?
worked. Yes.
Okay, so 80% of you would have been good 2 years ago. Unfortunately, right now, there is a new minimum length. I'll get to it on the next page. Let's go to the next ones. Use a mix of characters. So letters, uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and the special characters. Very good. Creating a password that's composed of the first letter of each of the words in a sentence. Just ensure that there is a specific amount of characters. So your length of characters or your length of password is important. And I don't have to tell you that the last one is not very good, because using ABC 1 2 3 successive keys is not good. But here's why the 8 character doesn't work anymore. Because of the tools that are out there by the hackers, 8 characters, if you look at this grid that is published on a regular basis and is updated on a regular basis, it will take 39 minutes for a hacker to get into your 8-character password, whether it's upper and lower case with letters and symbols and characters, etc. 39 minutes. So what we're going now is towards the 11 to 12 characters. Actually, we're pushing the 12 characters right now to give several thousands of years of leeway before they get that password. So again, technology is advancing, the tools are advancing. Unfortunately, we're not, and the 8-character model just doesn't cut it anymore. Next question.
All right, now I'm afraid to launch these polls, but anyway, we're
How
gonna
can
give it a shot.
how can you ensure that Wi-Fi network is secure when connecting from a smartphone?
That's right. So,
So the Wi-Fi network name has the mention private. Next one is you are required to enter a password, or the Wi-Fi network name begins with HTTPS, or there is no password that is required. There's only one answer to this.
about 60% who voted. We're just gonna give it a few more seconds here, get everybody's vote in. All right, we're almost there. All right, I think we got this. All right, so let's share the results. So we've got, well, 0 for the first one. That's a good one. So just because of the private mention, you are required to enter a password. We've got 74%. The Wi-Fi network name begins with HTTPS, 21%, and no password is required, 6%. So hopefully, yes.
You're excited.
Well, it works. So my
Yeah.
fingers, my toes are crossed that this thing works. Yeah.
So the answer is, you obviously, if you're trying to connect to a Wi-Fi network, make sure it gives you a password so you can enter it. And whether or not there's an adequate password, it's another story. It's probably another webinar on the amount of characters required to get a Wi-Fi secure enough. I guess technically the correct answer is that try and connect to Wi-Fi networks that have passwords. Just because a Wi-Fi network is named private and shows up as private doesn't mean that it's actually put any of the security features in there. It's just a technician who's decided to name it private, so that you can't base your decision on that. The third one, Wi-Fi network beginning with HTTPS, is kind of a play on words that are not really related to Wi-Fi. HTTPS is more of a website type of designation, and not Wi-Fi network. And obviously stay away from Wi-Fi networks that don't require passwords and let you in, because if you can get in, anyone else can get in, and the person next to you or outside in a car is scanning that entire Wi-Fi network and trying to pick up whatever information they can. Question number 5.
Question number 5. Let's do that. So, which of the following is the best way to securely connect to your organization's network? First answer, use a VPN. There's only one correct answer, by the way. So
Yep.
use a VPN virtual private network. Use secure public Wi-Fi access point. Use Wi-Fi access point from a reputable company, and use a VPN and two-factor authentication, 2FA, or multi-factor authentication. Oh, we got some people who know what they're talking about here on the call. So we've almost got everybody's vote. Just gonna wait a couple more seconds, make sure everybody has a chance to vote. All right, I think we've got everybody. Let's close that down and share the results. So we've got 6% who say use a VPN, which is not a bad thing. 0 for Wi-Fi access points of any kind, so that's good. And then 94% said use a VPN and two-factor authentication. So
Someone's preaching the right thing here on the internet,
absolutely.
Yeah, the message is getting across.
Yep.
So the correct answer is use a VPN with a 2FA or two-factor authentication, or multi-factor authentication, whatever you want to call it. It is the ability to validate if it's the right person logging into your VPN. So with a code, a text, an application that is pushing to devices, or a secondary email address that is ensuring that it is actually you connecting to the VPN and not anyone, because your credentials may be for sale and someone may have that information, but if they don't have access to your 2FA application or your phone, etc., then it's very difficult for them to get into your network. And again, 2 years ago, The first answer, VPN, would have been good, and nowadays it's not good anymore. Specifically now with, again, cyber insurance companies that want to insure you in the event of an issue, of an incident. They are now forcing you to implement some form of a 2FA along with your VPN.
Absolutely. All right. And
Question 6.
Question 6. So hackers and cyber criminals are responsible for the majority of, oh, I forgot to launch it. Sorry about that, guys. So hackers and cyber criminals are responsible for the majority of the security breaches and incidents affecting organizations. True or false? Oh, we got 50-50 split almost. Oh, wait. Well, things are changing. And we've almost got everybody voted. I'm just gonna wait a couple of seconds. Make sure everybody who wants to vote votes. All right. Okay, so we're gonna close that down and share the results. And so 34% said true and 66% said false. So let's hide that. And the real answer is?
The real answer is false. The reality is we, and that's us and you and everyone on this call, all organizations are pretty much responsible for a majority of the security breaches, unfortunately, whether it's by lack of improper security measures in place in specific websites and networks, whether it's not patching your machines adequately enough or not on a regular basis, whether it's not training or sensitizing your employees on what not to click on. This is the primary reason why some of these criminals are so successful, because again, they're lazy. They rely on us doing all the grunt work for them, and they can just easily get in. So and not to mention there could be like an insider threat or an employee that for whatever reason downloads certain information and then on their laptop and then goes to a Wi-Fi that is not secured somewhere else, and then that information is breached. So unfortunately, we have a responsibility to ensure that we do whatever possible to limit the damage and I guess to not be as vulnerable.
Limit the risks, in other
Limit
words.
Limit the risks, yes, because we can never be 100% secure,
Nope.
unfortunately. So we're at the phishing email templates portion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I will put it up right there. So we'll show you some emails, typical emails that could be a phishing or a legitimate email, and it's up to you to choose one. We'll let you analyze it. I understand you can't scroll your mouse around and look at the links and see if they're actually legitimate and going to the right site, but it's more of an overall picture to give you an idea of the types of emails that are out there and the look and feel of some of these emails.
So we're just going to give everybody a chance to sort of go through the email and see if they spot anything fishy, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's launch the poll, see what you guys think. Is it a phish or is it a legitimate email? Votes are coming in. All right, we're almost at, most of the votes are in. Just give it a second or two and then we're gonna shut it down. Okay, so 94% said it was a phish and 6% said it was legit. And
It is a phish.
it is a phish. 94% were right.
Yeah, well, the first thing that pops up is more of the I guess the source or the where it's coming from. And if you look at where it came from, some form of LinkedIn at IT support, but if you'll notice the support word has a 0 instead of an O. So these are the things you should be looking at when you receive these types of email. Look for typos, anomalies, misspelled words. Also, look at the bottom, the footer. The copyright date is 2019, but we receive it in 2022. So again, legitimate companies don't, they have departments that take care of the communications and stuff, and that would never happen with a legitimate company. So it's something to look at. The other thing to point out is that criminals like to convey the sense of urgency and click here, you'll get your results, or you have to do this in a set amount of time. That's what they're banking on. The ability to confuse you because you're in your day-to-day working with a few windows open and you receive something like this and you're just curious to click and you end up clicking. So obviously, the correct way would be to not click on this email, but actually go on LinkedIn and actually look at your profile and get all of that information that way, the traditional way. Let's do number 2.
They're going to give everyone a chance to sort of read through it and again, see if there's anything that jumps out at you that makes it so you're a little, you don't know that it might be a phish or it actually might be a legitimate email. Give it another few seconds. All right, you think we have enough time, Sergio?
Sure.
All right, well, let's launch the poll and see what you guys think. One's a little bit tougher, I think, but okay. We've got almost everybody who's voted. We're just going to give it a second. Make sure. All right, I'll close the poll and share the results. So we've got 30% who think it's a phish and 70% who think it's legit. So let's see.
It is legit. It's an actual email I received from Microsoft because I had a subscription and it was due for renewal. And again, the message here is there's no sense of urgency. It's just saying that there's a payment coming and it'll automatically be applied, etc. So, less of the urgency and more of the informational. But that being said, when I received this email, I looked on a few things that to me seemed a little fishy, again, to use that word. Coming from the Microsoft store with an email called stremail@microsoft.com, that kind of raised a flag for me. I got it at 5:50 in the morning, again, some flag. And what I did was I didn't click on any of this. I actually went to my Microsoft tenant and logged in under my account and just to make sure that that was a legitimate email, and in fact it was. So that's my day-to-day now, receiving emails that seem fishy, and everybody likes to make things easy and just click on links to get to where we want to go. But unfortunately, it's become the norm, and that's what all of the criminals are relying on. The fact that it's quick for us to click on a link and get us trapped into some form of a phish.
A little paranoia doesn't hurt anybody when it comes to this kind of stuff.
It's crazy. Number 3.
Yes. Well, again, peruse it, have a look. How do you feel about it? I'll give it a couple more seconds and then I'll put up the poll so you guys can vote. All right, so was that a phish or was that legit? Wow, okay. We got that. That was quick. Okay, we got almost everybody voted. Hang on a second here. We're gonna close the poll. We're gonna share the results. 89% said it was a fish and 11% said it was legit. And
And
89% were right.
yeah, it's a fish. Obviously, the sender, Microsoft at looks like Windows.com, but if you look carefully, it's a few V's in there. So there's two V's at the beginning and at the end of Windows, not W's. And again, the middle message is more of a sense of urgency, a little conflicting message where you have messages in instant messenger, but it's through Teams. So again, a quick template that was created as a way of maybe going after a few thousand targets and hopefully getting a couple. And again, the footer with the 2019 as a date. Maybe I gave it away on the previous one, but it gives you an idea of things to spot, right, quickly. And again, I mean, if you get emails like this and you're not running Teams, then you shouldn't be clicking on this. And if you do have Teams, well, go into your Teams and you'll see those messages appear, right? You don't have to click on, you don't have to get the Teams through that specific email. Number 4, we got 2 more after this, I think.
Well, no, this one and
This
one
one and
left.
another
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. So again, a couple of seconds to sort of take a look at it and see how you feel about it, whether it's a fish or a legit email. That's pretty topical, as you can see.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the tricks too, right? That they use is they use the news or whatever is going around in the world and.
Yep. And in the past, we were heavy on the COVID stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
2020, 2021, that was our most popular template, our most popular phishing template.
Yeah. Now let's launch and see what the audience thinks. Oh, very good. You've got almost everybody who voted. I'm just going to give it a second or two. Make sure everybody gets a chance. All righty. Okay, we're good. All right, so let's close that and share the results. So we've got 26% who think it's a fish and 74% who think it's legit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hide that. And so
It
everybody
is
says.
legit. Yep. Legit. It's good. I'll let you talk about that because this is an email you got.
Yeah. So
Legitimate.
this is I get emails from Canada Helps all the time. I am a subscriber, but and everything looked like I looked at the footer, I looked at the sender, and used my cursor to see is this a legitimate email? Does it look the same as what's being sent and all of that stuff? But being a little paranoid, just like Sergio, I went to the website directly, and I didn't really click on any of the links. It's just I think we're safer that way, even
Yeah.
though that it is a legitimate email.
Yeah.
But like I say, I guess Sergio and I are a little bit paranoid, but I think everybody should be a little bit paranoid just to
Yeah,
check.
and the message here also is like if I'm not sure if let's say you would have decided to give something today, I'm pretty sure you would have gone to their website and clicked on a couple buttons on their website and not click on the give today button, right? So
Yeah,
that's what's happening right now. We're becoming paranoid, as you said, but
yeah,
unfortunately, that's what we have to do as measures to ensure that we're not affected or not hit by something that may possibly be a fish. And saying that, I have a couple of samples of some emails, and you can see that, right, Maria?
yeah. Can you
I
make
make
it?
that
Yeah,
bigger.
exactly. Yeah,
So here's an example of an email I received one day because my brother-in-law must have signed into a new Galaxy tab, and we're all part of the same Google family, and I did get a new sign-on alert. So obviously, I'm looking at this email and it looks legit, kind of, and I see a bunch of links that I can click on, and you see things pop up. But the reality is I'm looking at this button that says check activity, and it's a huge extension that I have no idea how to decipher and figure out whether it's good or not. I mean, these things show up fine, but again, I went into my Google account using a browser and went to check, and I picked up the phone and I called my brother-in-law just to ensure that something happened. Another similar email is me logging into ESPN.com for my hockey pool for the first time in several months because hockey started. I got my new sign in to my account, right? Just confirming that somebody logged into your ESPN account, which by the way is owned by Walt Disney Company. So again, I'm looking at this like ESPN, Walt Disney. If you're not aware that it's the same company, parent company, you tend to question things. And because I initiated a login, I was aware of this email. So I guess the message would be if you receive emails like that and you haven't done any action on any websites to log in anywhere, well, then something wrong is happening somewhere, right? So my recommendation would be to go on that website as quickly as possible, start resetting your passwords before somebody takes over your accounts.
Absolutely. All right.
So let's go back to, there you go.
There we go.
Okay.
And our
Last one.
last one. This one's a text. So have a look. And then we'll launch the poll and get your feeling about this one. So yeah, I think we've got enough time. Let's do that. So do you feel that this text is a phish or is it legitimate? Yeah, we've got about 80% of the people who've voted. We're almost there. All right. Yep, we got everybody. So let's close that down. Share the results. So yeah, 92% of you think it's a phish and 8% think it's legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go see this. It is a phish.
It is a fish or a smish, as they call it, right? I
Smish,
mean,
yes, it is.
the likelihood of it being legitimate is very improbable. It's super low. Uh, Most of stuff, and I got that one too, Marie. I got in English and in French on my phone too. So, these things come through every once in a while, but I doubt that. Again, sense of urgency, right? Click here, make sure somebody's doing something to your account. Um, it's
Yeah,
still there, and some people still click on it, believe it or not.
yeah, and the thing too is, this came into my phone, right? I don't have an Amazon account, so that was a big,
Well, that's a
red
good that's a good
flag.
indication that it's no good.
But secondly, they normally, would tell you, several attempts have been made to connect. If it's you, then that's fine, but you should go on and change your or do what you need to do, but go on. They don't normally provide, links like this. They normally give you some kind of advice as to what to do.
Yep.
But yeah, the big red flag for me is I don't have an Amazon account. I know I'm one of the few, but I don't. So
And what I saw was, following some political campaign where they're going to give you money. Yeah, everybody's going to get X amount of dollars if I'm elected.
that's right. Yes,
They,
yes.
they tend to match those smishing attempts with a lot of political, I guess, campaigns and stuff. And then you see things like click here to get your, $500 rebate from the government, and that's the popular one.
Excellent.
All right. So that being said, we were mentioning cybersecurity, insurance firms, requirements, obligations. We like to call this a layered security approach, 6 layers to protect yourself. I'm not telling you to invest, tons of money and putting all of these things in place, but there are minimums. There are certain items and security measures you need to put in place, one, to protect yourself, and two, to be able to get insured by some of these companies moving forward, because they are requiring you to put things like UTM firewall, perimeter firewall, anti-spam filters, patch management with, properly documented with details on how you're doing it, cybersecurity awareness training, phishing, 2FA obviously with the VPN,
And
antivirus
on
or
email
endpoint
as well, right?
detection, yes, and on email. So these are the bare minimums that are showing up right now that need to be put in place. And then everything else, obviously, it's additional layers that you might want to put into your environments, but there are at least 6 or 7 of these that absolutely have to be on within your environment, have to be
Well, your
implemented.
backup, right? So,
And that's your plan B. So your backup is essentially, your fallback plan in case they still get through. You need to have proper backups done. They need to be properly replicated. They need to be offsite, offline. You need to be testing them to make sure they're done right, and not having them on premise or within the same network of the same network that's being hacked by a hacker. Because the first thing he'll do is turn off your backups, erase your backups, and then encrypt your files, and then you can't get anything back. So that's the I guess the plan B version of that. But there's a lot of places where we can help you. So again, we gave you the baseline minimum requirements. It's something to look at. And I pass it over to you, Maria, for our ebook.
yeah, so I mean that's our webinar for today. Hopefully you got some value from it. We, like I said, we do this a couple times a year just to make sure that it's front and center. Aside from insurance companies' requirements and stuff like that, I mean, I don't think anybody wants to get into a situation where they're going to get hacked and it could cause financial damage, reputational damage. Just it's not a good place to be, unfortunately. But anyway, so all of that to say, we promised that we would provide an ebook. So this is the ebook. You don't have to furiously write the link down. A, we're going to send it to you with a recording, and B, I just put it in the chat. So if you just want to copy it from the chat, then you can go download the ebook as well. Again, we would encourage you to go download the cheat sheets that we made available in the handout section of the webinar. And if you have any questions, please reach out to your local MicroAge with any questions, and they'll be happy and we'll be happy to answer those. So with that, I would say first of all, thank you. Actually, sorry, before we let you go, did want to mention that we do have one last MicroAge Talks Technology webinar this year on November 17th. It's Ask Us Anything webinar, and Ask Us Anything on IT, because we don't want to be giving anybody relationship things. But if you have any IT questions, this is going to be the place where we're going to have some MicroAge panelists on board with us so that they can answer your questions. So look for the invite in the next little while. It won't, probably in the next week or two. So once again, thank you, Sergio, very much for
Thank you.
today, and want to thank all of you for spending the last hour with us. And we hope you found it of value, and that we taught something today, or you learned something from us today. And with that, I want to wish everybody a great rest of day.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.